do I get one of those suits?
You'd only hurt yourself, Pee-wee.
Not getting any response, Bobbie. How do you want to play it? In answer, the former Martian Marine climbed down from the gunner station hand over hand in the high gravity. The muscles in her arms were like cords of wire, and her grimace said both that the sheer effort hurt and that she kind of liked it. Let them know if they open up on us, they won't get crash couches on the way to jail, she said, passing down toward the airlock. I'm just gonna slip into something more comfortable. Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to break down the Expanse Season 6 Episode 2. Azure Dragon was a wild ride, with the promise of things starting to take shape for a real showdown between the Inners and Marco Inaros. Drummer may have found an ally to do her part for the belt, and Avasarala is out there pulling on some strings. I'm going to recap everything that happened in the episode, get into all of those things, plus what's going on with Filip and the crew of the Roci, right after this quick spoiler warning. If you haven't watched the second episode of The Expanse Season 6, this video won't be for you. And with that out of the way, let's get into it. The episode opens on Laconia again, and Kara's really bad day isn't getting any better. The mother bird that she's trying to save dies shortly after she arrives home. On the way, she's almost hit by a soldier driving what looks like a jeep through the forest, and to make it all much worse, she realizes that she essentially poisoned the bird by giving it part of her protein bar. Her mother explains that the plants and animals that evolved on Laconia have a different kind of chemistry that doesn't work with ours. The planet has a different tree of life, so at best our food would be nutritionless for creatures that evolved on Laconia, and at worst it would be poison, and we see that here. She's worried about the babies that were left behind and wants help to return them back to their nest. But her mother and father can't help because they have to attend a meeting that the soldiers called for all the settlers. And you hear her parents talking to each other about the soldiers. And you can take away from that this group of settlers has been there for a while before the soldiers arrived. So Kara and her family aren't part of the Martian breakaway fleet. They were already on the planet. When they leave to go for the meeting, Kara grabs a drone that she's not supposed to use. There's a sign there that says these aren't toys. She grabs a shovel and then she tells her little brother Zan, who we met just briefly, that he can't go with her. He has to stay home. After she gets the first baby back in the nest, the drone breaks and gets stuck. Things still not going her way, and while she's digging the hole to bury the mother, the mysterious dog-like creature comes over and carries the bird away. Back in Sol System, the Roci is docked with a UNN supply ship in the belt. They're resupplying, and when they get ready to leave, they're told that their mission specialist is transferring over. This is not something that Holden was expecting, so he calls Clarissa and tells her to go to her quarters. And it's funny because he actually calls her Peaches here, but it turns out to be nothing to worry about. It's just Bobbie in her power armor coming aboard. When he asks what's up, she says, "Change of plans, time to lock and load." A little later, she'll explain that they have located the Azure Dragon. It's running dark, which gives it a false sense of security, and even though it would be much easier just to blow it up, Avasarala wants to capture it so she can get her hands on all of its data. Amos points out that she has a navy for things like that. Holden reminds him that she's lost strike teams before, and the optics of losing another one wouldn't be good politically. So as an independent ship, if things were to go wrong, it would be on them rather than on her. Bobbie makes the argument that it's really about morale, that they need a win, and that they aren't going to mess this thing up. Much like the crew stuff we saw in episode 1, this exchange establishes where everyone is at in relation to their role in this fight against the Free Navy. No one is excited about this plan besides Bobbie. It makes sense for her. She's happy to get back out there and put her skills to good use, do what she does best. But that's in stark contrast to everyone else involved. Amos doesn't like the added risk, and there seems to be an ongoing thing where he's having trouble understanding if any of this is worth it. As he said in the premiere, he's just there to kill Marco before he can kill them. And you know it must be risky if he doesn't want to do it. Naomi isn't in love with the idea of Bobbie taking care of the Belter crew on the ship, the violence involved with that, and Holden respects that even with a good plan that this is just a difficult operation to pull off. When everyone starts to go back to work, Holden asks Bobbie if she's heard of any ships going missing at the ring during transits. She had heard intel about a number of Martian ships that went dark when passing through the gates. The thinking at the time was that they slipped off and joined Anaros, but the ships had never been accounted for. He then shows her the Barkeith footage and asks for her to get him that intel. On Ceres, Filip is in a holding cell, and Sanjrani brings Marco in to see him. He undermines their authority and the laws on Ceres, stating that this is a Free Navy matter and that he'll deal with it personally. He orders that Filip be released into his custody immediately. Outside, he gives him back his gun and tells him that once they get back to the ship to clean himself up and to report for duty. Yoan assaulted a superior officer and you defended yourself. That's what happened. When Filip looks confused, he says, "Would you like me to punish you some more? I would think that the embarrassment you've become since we arrived on Ceres would be punishment enough." Back on the Pella, we see Marco looking at the locations of his supply depots relative to the ring, and you can see that there are a lot of them. He's trying to figure out if there's a faster way to get supplies to Medina. Rosenfeld brings up Filip and how he's completely lost his focus, and the crew has recognized this. She says it probably has a lot to do with his mother, but Marco blames Filip because he brought her there in the first place. He says it cost us all so much, and you get the sense that Marco resents his son because of what happened. In his quarters, Filip looks through Yoan's things and sees his blood on the alligator skin vest. He watches video feeds on his hand terminal of the two of them when they were younger, and it's clear that he does feel remorse about what happened. Rosenfeld is able to score some points by talking to Marco honestly about how the situation is playing out. He says that he wants his son to be better, and she points out that he can't afford to be angry with so many important things going on. Later, Filip comes to her and says that Yoan's family should be taken care of, and she reminds him of the obvious, that the official story is that he assaulted a superior officer, and if he had survived, he would no longer be in the Free Navy. He realizes what she's saying is true, but then she scores some points with him by saying that they will give the family something because this is a gracious impulse on his part. We see him struggle with sending a message to the family, and in the end, he's able to pull together the resolve to do this as he knows he should, and you come away thinking this is just another thing that's gonna haunt him. Elsewhere in the belt, the Tynan has rendezvoused with the Inazami. Joseph points out that they're probably considering taking them out for the bounty, and of course they are. Drummer says that Walker is a smuggler and a thief, and if I had a better option, I would have used it. There's an unspoken thought between them where it's like, wait a minute, is it really a good idea then to leave Michio with them? And Drummer just says that she'll be safer with them than on the Tynan with her family. They meet with Liang Walker at the airlock door, and we learn a lot of important things in their short exchange. The original plan was to take Michio to Ganymede, but he tells them that this is going to be a problem because the Free Navy took over security there and put up checkpoints so she won't be safe. This confuses Drummer. She doesn't understand why that would be a problem for him because he's in the Free Navy. He makes the distinction that he's Golden Bow, and that some of their faction went against Marco, so he's humiliating the rest of them by giving them shitty jobs. He also says that Marco doesn't like him personally because in his own words, he intimidates him sexually. And the delivery of this and the way that everyone sort of looks at him after is a nice little bit of comedy. He says they aren't involved in any fighting, they only move freight. When she asks what kind, things get interesting because it's food and water and other things people need in the belt. They're transferring it from places like Ganymede and Ceres to supply depots that Marco spun up all over the belt. This ties into him being more concerned with Medina and really underlines the situation. They're not just unwilling to help Ceres, they're actually taking stuff away from there. So you can see why Sanjrani's in such a tough position even before they let his son go after he killed somebody on the station. Hearing about those supply depots gives Drummer an idea, and she invites Walker onto the Tynan for that tour that he was interested in. When they start talking, they bring up Marco, and despite all his faults, that he is good at getting people to follow him. Drummer points out that Walker doesn't seem to like it, and that she didn't either. But when Golden Bow splintered, he did choose Marco's side, and he explains that he did get caught up in it all, finally striking back against the Inners. It felt glorious. He eventually asks her to get to the point of what she's after, and she lays it out. Isn't he tired of getting by on a little skim when the fat prize is right out there for the taking? They can take the food right off of Naros's plate like a true pirate would. She asks if he's still in contact with some of the ships that didn't join the Free Navy, and it's clear that she's won him over to this idea. And after this exchange, you might hear book readers referring to Drummer as the Pirate Queen. There's a quick shot of Monica eavesdropping on Yoan in command on the Zenobia. She then goes to Avasarala to ask what's going on, and she shuts her down by telling her that she'll have her access revoked if she keeps abusing it. We know that the buzz is over the fact that the Roci's getting ready to do their mission. There, we see them getting suited up, and there's this great moment where Amos asks Bobbie how he could get one of those suits, referring to her power armor, and Bobbie responds, "You'd only hurt yourself, Pee-wee." We see Clarissa's involved. She's preparing the EMP device. They open both airlocks, and the Azure Dragon fires up their drive, indicating that they did spot them. They take off, the Roci gives chase, and Holden wants to put a railgun round through their drive cone, but Bobbie won't let him. She has operational control and insists that they try to board the ship. She orders him to get close and hold steady and wait for her signal. Everyone that's not in power armor is pinned to the deck. The Dragon is doing maneuvers, and Holden does his best to stay close and stay out of their drive plume. In an audible, Bobbie grabs the EMP and takes this crazy leap over to the other ship, where she's able to activate that and cut their drive. Amos crosses to blow the airlock, and when it's Naomi's time to go, she gets a flashback to her transit to the Chetsmoka with no suit and gets frozen in place. Clarissa grabs her kit and goes instead. Holden joins Amos, they're ready to breach, while Clarissa is making sure they can't start their reactor back up. On the other side of the ship, 3 crew members make their way outside. Naomi is able to get it together enough to help Clarissa, who finds what she needs in time, but at the same time, the crew members attack her and Bobbie. 2 are coming straight on, and she starts firing at them, and as that's happening, the 3rd one sneaks up with a clear shot of some kind of rocket launcher, and Clarissa has to make a split-second decision to activate her mods, taking the guy out and causing his shot to miss, while knocking his helmet off and killing him at the same time. She's able to save Bobbie's life, and when she approaches them where they're sort of stuck in place by their mag boots, we see that Clarissa vomited inside of her helmet. You also saw that the damage the rocket did to the ship's outer hull was serious, so it would have been a game changer if that would have hit Bobbie. Holden and Amos get inside, they shoot the last remaining crew member. They see that they were trying to wipe the data cores but didn't get finished in time. And as Naomi is cracking the encryption, Holden asked her what happened out there, and this is a really great exchange. When she says that she's all right, he asks, really all right or not ready to talk about it all right? And it's the second one. And we see their connection as crewmates, as lovers, as partners, and he just says, okay. When they get access, they realize just how many rocks the Free Navy's strategy involves, which is impressive, and this is exactly what Avasarala needed to find out. She calls for Monica after the mission is complete. She tells her that she wants to commission her to do a project. In her words, she wants the belt to see what they're doing to us. Monica refuses at first, saying that she doesn't do propaganda, but then she does a really great job of guilt-tripping her into it. She wants her to humanize Earthers, and even if it won't change many minds, it might just make it a little bit harder to feel good about killing them. On the Roci, Amos is with Clarissa backing up the idea that she did save Bobbie's life, and Holden comes in and asks to talk to her. He takes responsibility for treating her like an obligation rather than forging a real working relationship, but tells her that they had a plan and any changes have to go through him. It has to work that way. He knows she was trying to help, but she's got to follow the chain of command. She apologizes and acknowledges that she made a mistake, and then when he leaves, she can't help herself from smiling. Because as she tells Amos, this was the first time he referred to her as part of the crew. On the Pella, Marco and Rosenfeld get word that the Azure Dragon and its data were captured. They know that the Inners will be able to locate all the rocks that were on their way or that are waiting to launch, and then they'll be able to redeploy their fleets. They're not thrilled about this, but Marco assures her that when they come for Ceres, and he believes that they will, that they'll be ready for them. Apparently he has a plan, but he doesn't reveal it, and the episode ends there. A really solid episode, and it kind of blew my mind when I was taking the notes because it's short, but there are so many important details in every line of dialogue and every interaction between characters. Being able to secure the data on all the rocks that are pointed towards Earth is as important as Avasarala made it out to be. Now the conflict can move into the next phase. It's great that Bobbie is now on the Roci, and that the action was able to bring them together for the time being. And even though Naomi is out of sorts because of what happened to her last season, I thought that brought out a great moment between her and Holden that speaks volumes about the crew's experiences together. They're all sort of at a low point here because of what's going on, but they all are loyal and dedicated to each other. There's really nothing wrong with this episode beyond the fact that it flew by. And even though it's impressive in its efficiency and what it's able to get done, it does still feel short. It sort of feels like fixing a problem that didn't exist. I've never thought that the Expanse would be better if they could just trim it down some. And I think if there's one place I could say it sort of took away from it, it was after Clarissa activated her mods. It was kind of hard to track what was going on there without going back and watching it a couple times. It doesn't lose much considering that everything is working so well, but I was left wanting more at the end. It had some really funny moments with Bobbie and Walker, and I thought they did a good job of introducing him this late in the game. There are so many little things in every episode, like Holden floating down the stairs to meet Bobbie, and it goes without saying that they really nailed the action sequence. Drummer's scenes were great, as was Avasarala and Monica together, and I liked watching Rosenfeld working her way into the middle of things with Marco and Filip. And I think I'll leave it there. I'll put out a follow-up video in a couple of days and get into the X-ray scene and whatever teasers they put out, so check back for that. In the comments, let me know what you thought about the episode, what you think of the season so far, and what you're hoping to see next. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.